You have a reason, a good one, maybe the best reason you've ever had. You can feel how solid it is, how it holds up, how it would survive scrutiny, how it has survived scrutiny. It's already been tested, already passed. That's a trap. That's the problem. The smarter the man, the more load bearing the excuse. Not because you're weak, because you're very, very good. And you have aimed that skill, that precise, dangerous skill, directly at yourself. If you're listening to this, hoping someone will tell you it's fine, leave. If you want permission, this is the wrong room. This episode is for the man who already knows, who has known for longer than he wants to admit, who built something serious with his hands and his mind, and has been pretending one area doesn't count. It counts. If that doesn't land, you're not who this is for. Today, we're not talking about discipline, not habits, not morning routines or calorie counts or sleep scores. We're talking about the architecture, the structure you built to explain why you haven't addressed the one standard you haven't held. We are going to walk through it, room by room. And you're going to recognize you're going to recognize every wall. This is Iron Suits, where strength wears a crown. I am Marwan. The smarter the man, the more dangerous the excuse. An average man says, I just haven't got around to it. Weak, visible, even he can see it. A man at your level doesn't make weak justifications. He makes structural ones. The business is at a critical stage. The team needs me fully present. My energy is a finite resource. I allocate it strategically. The ROI on this isn't there right now. These are not lies. They are true enough to be usable. And that's exactly what makes them dangerous. A lie is easy to reject. A partial truth passes every audit. It sits in the mind with legitimacy. It feels like intelligence. Standards don't drift, they get negotiated. And so the standard drifted, month by month, quarter by quarter, each month explained, each quarter justified. The drift continued. The justification kept pace. And the man mistook having a good reason for having made a good decision. The voice running right now, you know what's saying. I know what I need to do. I just need the right moment. When this project closes, when the team is fully hired, when Q4 is done, when the acquisition is through. You've been waiting since before the last acquisition. There has always been Q4. There has always been a project. There has always been something legitimately demanding, legitimately urgent, legitimately requiring your full attention. And it was real. I'm not telling you it wasn't. But how many legitimate things have appeared in exactly the right order to keep this exact standard in exactly this condition for exactly this long? That can't be a coincidence. The right moment is a myth. It is the most expensive story a sharp man tells himself. Because the demands do not clear. The queues do not empty. The right moment does not arrive. This is not a temporary condition. This is the nature of operating at your level. You already know this about everything else, every other domain. Why is this one area where you kept waiting? Let me give you a scene. You're getting dressed, early morning, hotel room maybe, you travel enough, or the ensuite. Everyone is still asleep. You pull the shirt on, you catch yourself in the mirror. For a fraction of a second before the narrative engages, before the language shows up, there is a man in the mirror, and he's not quiet. What the self-image says. Not a shock, not dramatically different, just a gap. You adjust the shirt, you move on. The narrative arrives 30 seconds later, smooths it over, and you walk out. I don't look that bad. I don't look that bad. I've been busy. I'm carrying stress weight. This is temporary. That voice is not honesty. It is maintenance. The 30 seconds before it arrived, that was honest. The moment before the story is the only moment you see clearly. You've had that moment more than once. Maybe this morning. You know what it showed you, and you covered it. I want to show you something precise. The quality of the justification is directly proportional to the depth of the avoidance. A man who is mildly avoidant produces a mild excuse. Sloppy. He barely believes it himself. A man who is deeply avoidant produces a structure so persuasive it convinces even him. You're not mildly avoidant. You have been building this case for years, revising it, strengthening it, adding evidence as it became available, running through your best thinking. The case is excellent, and it has produced nothing. The sophistication of the excuse is the measure of the avoidance, not the quality of the reasoning. You confuse having a good answer with having done the work. Those are not the same transaction. The body does not respond to arguments. It responds to the action. The argument, however elegant, however airtight, has been a substitute for the action for a very long time. I've been solving the wrong problem. Here's the incongruence. In your business, you don't accept a good reason for a bad outcome. You don't. I know you don't, because you build something that works. And things that work don't get built by men who accept explanations as results. If a department underperforms and the leader walks in with a well-constructed case, you listen, you may acknowledge the constraints are real, and then you ask, what are we doing about it? You didn't lose discipline, you approved the exception. The body has been the one domain where the reason was always enough, because the consequence was private, because no one was measuring it, because the cost was slow and the justification was fast. So the standard that holds in every boardroom, every negotiation, every moment your team is watching, quietly exempted itself. One domain, the most visible one, the one that speaks before you open your mouth. You walked into a room last week, maybe a boardroom, maybe a dinner, maybe a meeting where you were the most successful person at the table. You adjusted the jacket before you sat, just lightly, the way you do. Does this look right? Am I carrying it well? What's the read? You know the adjustment. You've made it hundreds of times. It is not vanity. It is management. The body is saying something. You're trying to edit the sentence before it finishes. The room already decided before you spoke. The handshake was firm. The answer was sharp. The business mind was fully present. And the room read everything else. That is not unfair. That is a game you chose. That is a game you're very good at. Accept this part. I want you to do something, not a task, just a look. Think back. How many times has a version of this reason appeared before you and this? Not just this year, the year before, the year before that. Different words, same structure, same position. The business is at a critical stage. That was 3 years ago. The team needs me. That was a year before. I'm focused on what actually matters. That was every single quarter in between. The wording changed, the architecture didn't. You've been living inside the same building for years, just repainting the walls. The pattern is not bad luck. The pattern is the decision. That's the thing about patterns. Once you see them, you can't call them coincidence anymore. And you can't unsee them. You say, I don't have time. Translation, I haven't decided this outranks what occupies the time. You say, I know what I need to do. I just need better conditions. Translation, I'm waiting for a version of my life that does not exist to give me permission for a decision I haven't made. You say, I built a business from nothing. I know how to figure things out. Translation, I'm using evidence of past capability as a substitute for present action. You say, this isn't the right time to add pressure to my life. Translation, I've redefined pressure to exclude the only kind that doesn't have a deadline. You understand exactly what I'm doing here, because it's exactly what you do in every other context when a case doesn't hold. The case doesn't hold. Intelligence without honesty is just a more sophisticated way of staying stuck. Let me show you the mechanism. It begins with a real constraint. That is important. The business demand is genuine. The schedule pressure is genuine. The competing priority is genuine. None of that is invented. The mind takes that real constraint and it elevates it to a reason. The reason becomes a policy. Not right now. When things settle, when the season changes. The policy gets rehearsed. every time the subject surfaces, every time the mirror asks a question. The rehearsal makes it feel like a position, a considered one, a reasonable one, a position of a man managing his priorities with precision. But the position is static. It has been static for years. In a life where nothing else has been allowed to stay static. In business, a strategy that stopped working gets revised, challenged, replaced. That is what you demand. The justification for not addressing the body has never been revised. It has only been reinforced. You apply rigorous thinking to everything that matters. You have never applied it to the reason you haven't fixed this. A man who challenges every assumption in his portfolio, who pressure tests every strategy, who demands accountability from every department, has given this one position a permanent exemption from scrutiny. That exemption has a cost. Ask yourself why. Every man who hasn't fixed this has a reason. The reason is always good. The body doesn't care about the reason. The business does not accept good reasons for bad outcomes. You don't accept them from your team. You don't accept them from your vendors. You don't accept them from yourself in any domain where the stakes are visible. The body has been the one place where the reason was always enough, because the consequence was private, because no one was measuring it. You were measuring it. You've known that number for years. You've been running the most profitable operation of your career and accepting the worst results of your life in the same body at the same time. The reason doesn't change that. Only the decision does. You will leave this episode with the reason still in your head. I'm not trying to take it away from you. I'm asking you to see it for what it is. Not as a conclusion, as a pattern. A pattern is telling you something the reason is not. The reason says not yet. A pattern says never, unless something changes. That something that needs to change is not the calendar. It is the decision you make before the next reason arrives. Because it will arrive. It always does. The question is what you do before it gets here. This is Iron Suits, where strength wears a crown. I am Marwan Killu. Next episode, if you can't own your body, what exactly do you own? Make sure you follow me on my socials. I am on Facebook under Marwan Killu and LinkedIn under Marwan Killu Fitness. You can watch this on YouTube under Marwan Killu. Make sure you subscribe to the show so you get notifications when new episodes go live. And share this with another leader who is a little bit soft. If this hit a nerve, share it with another leader who's a little bit soft. Until the next episode, have a great day. Talk to you all soon.